And in today's episode, among other things, you'll see Elon Musk admits he fears Tesla's robot army and reveals plans that could reshape humanity's future. The new Cold War waged with a robot army, China and the United States are now competing for dominance in humanoid robots. China has launched a platform that turns your cell phone videos into movements for humanoid robots. The United States announces the first test weapon in orbit, renewing fears of space militarization. Blue dogs in Chernobyl, the mystery of animals changing color in the nuclear zone. Let's understand all of this. Hello, impressed viewers. I'm Carlos Alves, and you're watching Incredible Reality. Let's get to the video. Space that once symbolized humanity's curiosity and unity. A territory that was once neutral, protected by international agreements, is slowly becoming the next battlefield. Last month, the United States Department of Defense issued a call for private companies to submit prototypes of space interceptors, which is included in the Golden Dome project, an initiative from the Trump administration that promises to create an orbital anti-missile shield, capable of intercepting threats even before they enter the atmosphere. The response came quickly. Apex, a young company from Los Angeles, announced the Shadow Project, the first commercial demonstration of an American space interceptor. The startup claims to be in full development, the first operational orbital weapon, a space interceptor that works in space and attacks targets beyond Earth. The plan is to launch 2 prototypes in 2026 as part of the Autonomous Orbital Depot platform, a kind of weapon station designed to house and sustain the space missiles in real time. According to the chief executive officer, Ian Cinnamon, the company is developing everything with its own resources, without relying on government subsidies. We're moving incredibly fast, he said. The sentence sounded like technological pride, but also like a warning, okay? For the first time, a private company claims to be creating on its own a weapons system in Earth's orbit. The ultimate goal is to place thousands of orbital interceptor missiles, forming a kind of continuous defense network over the Earth. If successful, the system could shoot down nuclear missiles during launch, protecting whole cities. But it would also establish a new form of global power, military control of outer space. Cinnamon argues that all the components already exist: satellites, sensors, tracking systems, and the booster rockets. He says the challenge now is merging everything into one system that can intercept an orbital threat in fractions of a second. Since the disaster back in 1986, Chernobyl has become the symbol of the boundary between progress and real danger. A place frozen in time where nature tries to recover and where the improbable keeps happening. A new mystery has surfaced in the exclusion zone. Dogs with entirely blue fur, Clean Futures Fund, caring for Chernobyl's dogs since 2017, reported seeing 3 dogs with bluish fur. They were spotted during a sterilization and vaccination mission. What surprised scientists most was that, despite their unusual color, the animals appeared healthy and energetic. The scene quickly went viral on social media and sparked an old fear. Could it be that the region's radiation is finally causing visible mutations in the animals? But the answer to what Toon points out is much more mundane. And yet, it's quite fascinating. According to the non-governmental organization, the blue coloration was not caused by radioactivity, but rather by chemical contact. The suspicion is that the dogs rolled in or took shelter in a leaking chemical toilet, temporarily dyeing their fur. Even so, the episode has rekindled worldwide curiosity about the biological legacy of Chernobyl, one of Earth's most contaminated areas where nature has adapted after humans left. The blue dogs may just be a temporary effect, a chemical coincidence, but in a way, they symbolize what Chernobyl has become. A living laboratory showing that the world goes on even without human beings, where life keeps insisting on flourishing. Colorful and beautiful, even in radiation shadows. Okay, speaking of radiation, the United States just introduced a chip that can operate inside a nuclear reactor. And by the way, that's an environment where the heat melts metal and the radiation destroys even the toughest circuits. Researchers at the University of Maine developed sensors made with nanometer-scale materials and used an architecture that remains stable even when exposed to intense radiation. The device can now operate for days inside the reactor, collecting real-time data, which was previously impossible. Brazilian engineer Mauricio Pereira de Cunha, the project leader, says this is the first technology to accurately measure reactor power at 800 degrees, ensuring safety and efficiency in extreme conditions. In tests carried out at the Nuclear Research Laboratory at Ohio State University, the chips operated for 7 consecutive days without any failures. No typical circuit would have lasted more than a few hours. Why does this matter to everyone? Well, because the world is about to enter this new era. In the era of next-generation reactors, which are smaller, more efficient, and operate at much higher temperatures than traditional models. No sensors until now could keep up with this evolution. Without reliable measurements, the reactor's core can't be controlled. With this new technology, engineers will now be able to detect any irregularity instantly, preventing accidents and reducing maintenance costs. This technology can also be used in rocket engines, geothermal power plants, hypersonic turbines, and even space probes, where sensors need to withstand temperatures and radiation close to the limits of matter. Imagine recording a short video on your phone and minutes later, watching a humanoid robot perfectly mimic your gestures. TikTok dances face trouble. No sensors, no wires, and no programming knowledge needed. It's all very simple. In China, this is already a reality. AdBot, a global leader in humanoid robotics, has launched LinkCraft, the first platform that turns ordinary videos into realistic robotic performances. Simply point your phone, record your movements, and artificial intelligence handles the rest, turning gestures into smooth, coordinated, natural motions. For decades, teaching a robot to move required engineers, complex motion capture systems, and weeks of programming. Now anyone can create a choreography, a scene, or even a scientific simulation with just a simple video. The secret is in combining 3 pillars, including multimodal imitation learning and timeline orchestration. The system analyzes the video frame by frame, understands the human body in motion, and recreates every detail in the AdBot X2 robot, from the swing of the arm to the rhythm of the dance. But LinkCraft goes a little further. It also allows you to synchronize voice, facial expression, and emotion. Record audio or type text, and the robot will speak with intonation. In addition, it also conveys feelings and even gestures that match the speech. The result is impressive. Performances that sound nearly human with expression, rhythm, and personality. AdBot also added a cinematic editing system. Creators can manipulate time, coordinate multiple robots, and build complete narratives as if they were editing a movie. And there's also space for robot shows, interactive stores, and even classes conducted especially by humanoids. The AdBot X2, the first compatible model, is in mass production, with thousands expected by 2026. At the Sport Office Initiative launch, uniting Nike's innovation teams, the brand unveiled 2 projects set to redefine wearable technology. A sneaker that enhances mind-body connection, and another that generates its own propulsion. The Mind line was created to stimulate the brain via the feet. The sole has small foam bumps, called sensory nodes, that move with each step, transmitting the texture of the ground directly to the nervous system. This stimulation, according to Nike, helps the user set their mindset before and after competition. This technically means the shoe aligns both body and mind, a concept developed in a neuroscience lab. Matthew Nurse, Nike's chief scientist, says the company has spent 45 years studying the body in motion, but is now focusing research on the mind in motion. The idea is that human performance relies not just on muscles and oxygen, but also on perception, attention, and mental state. While mind seeks to awaken the mind, Nike's second project aims to accelerate the body. Project Amplify combines an electric motor, battery, and a belt attached to the shoe, adding extra force to each step for those walking or running in these sneakers. It's a portable exoskeleton developed with robotics company DeFi, a spin-off from MT Media Lab. The sneakers have a carbon fiber plate and can work with or without the propulsion device. In the test, more than 400 people together took almost 2.5 million steps. Michael Donagos, Nike's vice president of innovation, explains the concept simply. We wanted to see if it was possible to give an athlete a little invisible push, something that would make movement lighter and more fun. Behind the design and the inspiring phrases, there's a pattern that starts to repeat itself across various industries. The fusion between the biological and the technological. And during Tesla's earnings conference call, Elon Musk made one of the most unsettling statements of his career. I don't feel comfortable building this army of robots unless I have a strong influence over it. Simple words, but loaded with historical weight. Musk already runs companies that orbit the Earth and dig tunnels beneath it. Now he's talking about something deeper: the creation of an army of intelligent machines built not just to help, but potentially to act autonomously. The billionaire who owns about 13% of Tesla is threatening to leave unless he gets 25% control, which is enough for him to ensure decisive influence over the fate of the robots he himself is creating. The reason? The Optimus, the bipedal humanoid robots that Musk describes as universal workers. According to him, Tesla's future is no longer in electric cars, but rather in these robots that one day, in his words, will be worth 80% will be worth it. To achieve this dream, Musk promises 1 million units operating globally, with mass production starting as early as 2026. But know that at present, right now, the reality is much less epic. Only a few dozen functional prototypes, manufacturing difficulties, and unfulfilled promises, and yet Musk's speech suggests something bigger and also more dangerous. And by repeatedly using the term robot army, he raised a global alert. Army. He may envision humanoids not just in factories and homes, but also in roles of power, defense, or control. As a side note, historically, every technological revolution began with the promise of freedom and ended up creating new forms of dependence. The Industrial Revolution freed us from physical labor but bound us to machines. The Digital Revolution promised to connect the world, but plunged our own world into surveillance. Now, Musk proposes a new revolution that's both physical and cognitive, a planet inhabited by robots with their own reasoning, subordinated to a single company. The British philosopher Nick Bostrom, author of Superintelligence, once warned the following: "The real danger is not artificial intelligence rebelling against us humans, but it blindly obeying other humans." And that's exactly what makes Elon Musk's words so disturbing. He wants control not out of fear of losing power, but out of fear of what he himself created. While investors focus on profits, there's much more at stake than money. A man who controls satellites, rockets, and autonomous vehicles now seeks a monopoly over self-acting, self-learning entities. And if the future really is inhabited by an army of robots, the fate of humanity, our fate, may depend on who gives the first order. Elon Musk says he's uncomfortable without influence over these robots. The remaining question is, who will influence Elon Musk? Because maybe the real risk is no longer the birth of these machines. Instead, it's about the power of those who will control and command such an army. Since the discussion has started, let's add fuel to the fire. Imagine a future where wars are not fought only by humans, but by machines with faces, arms, and their own intelligence. A future in which global power is now measured by how many artificial intelligence-powered humanoid robots each nation controls, not nuclear warheads. You've realized that this future isn't far from us, right? In fact, it seems like it's already begun. On one side, China with its mass-produced robot army, on the other, the United States, mainly betting on the intelligence and sophistication of Tesla's robots, which are led by Elon Musk. In China, companies like Alnudri Robotics are producing affordable humanoids, like the Unitree G1, some selling for about $16,000. A robust, fast robot that gets up after falls and learns from every movement. China's philosophy is simple: manufacture on a large scale at any cost. The country wants to flood the world market with thousands of robots, and with that, dominate not only the economy, but also data collection and large-scale learning. Meanwhile, in the United States, Optimus by Tesla is Elon Musk's bet to create a new intelligent workforce. With Starlink integration, it can connect, learn, and collaborate with other robots in real time. The American vision goes beyond making machines, aiming to create a global collective intelligence where every robot extends a central mind. The strategy is what separates the two powers. China seeks quantity and presence, while the United States seeks awareness and control. The former seems to be betting on an army of resilient robots, on thinking machines capable of interpreting complex orders and acting autonomously. But there's a dark side to this race. Both countries are testing military versions of these robots. Chinese prototypes linked to the People's Liberation Army have shown load capacity, strong endurance, and tactical autonomy. In the United States, Optimus is being tested for logistics and high-risk missions with SpaceX and the Department of Defense, along with other robots. Meanwhile, the United Nations is already debating the threat of lethal autonomous weapons. But technological advancement is moving much faster than any international treaty. Experts call this confrontation a robotic Cold War, a silent dispute with the potential to reshape the entire hierarchy of the planet. China spends billions on the sector, greatly exceeding the United States budget. Both already share a goal: robots on the battlefield by 2035. Yes, my friends, when the first armies of self-thinking machines, autonomous machines, emerge, maybe we're not just facing a new military era, but actually the beginning. That beginning of a new species that will be dominating the planet. If you enjoyed this episode, comment below. China versus United States, humanoid robot battle. These here or here, I think it's going to be right here, are some of the comments from the last video. Leave your comment down below as well. This boosts engagement on this video, and I know you enjoy the technologies and watch until the end. Thanks for everything. All sources are in the description. Thanks for staying with me. Choose one of the two options on your screen. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.